In a previous video, we were using Boolean indexing to get, for example, the subdata frame corresponding to the chord B or the chord G, and so on. But that's not really the right way to do this in pandas. I think the right way is to use what's called groupby. So let me quickly introduce groupby in this video. So I'm going to say df.groupby, and then what do I want to group by? I want to group by chord. So for example, all the rows that share the same chord, for example, chord B, are going to be grouped together. So as an example, let me say like for x, y in df.groupby chord. And then let me just print x to start. So as I iterate through df groupby, I'm getting a tuple with two things in it, and the x corresponds to all of the different possible chords. Okay, what happens if I try to print y instead of printing x? So it's a lot more complicated looking. Let's just sort of slow it down a little. So here's a trick if you just want to get like the very first thing out of this group by operation. What I can do is I can say, let's just break. Okay, like leave the for loop. And so then if I check what is x, okay, x is a, okay, the very first thing as we're going through the for loop. And what is y? Okay, it's some data frame. And what data frame is it? Well, if we scroll all the way over to the right, we'll see that all of these chords are A. And for example, notice that this is 118 rows. If I do df chord equals A, okay, so far this has nothing to do with the group by, like I didn't write group by anywhere here. And if I want to count how many trues there are in this, one way to do that is I can do .sum. And then we get this same number, 118. So there are 118 songs in the chord of A, and those 118 are in this second thing that's showing up in this df.groupby. Okay, so that is one aspect of this groupby. Another example, I could say for x, y in df.groupby chord. And then let's just print the length of y. Okay, so that's going to be the same as how many rows are there in y. So just remember these first few, 118, 122, 141. And if we come up to our Altair chart, 118, 122, 141. Okay, for a second, I was confused about why these numbers were so close and there was such a jump between them, but it's because the height isn't from the count. The height is from the valence. So 118, 122, 141. So that is one example of something we can do using this df.groupby. Another thing we can do that's maybe even more relevant to what we were doing above is I can do the same groupby, and then I can say .median. And it doesn't know that I care in particular about valence because I didn't write valence anywhere here. But for example, if I come over to the valence column, then I get the same valences I was getting before. And if all I care about is the valence column, I can write this valence on the right-hand side. I think I could also write it earlier. I don't know which is better stylistically. And lastly, like what if I want to know what produces the maximum value? Okay, well, I could say, what's the maximum value? Okay, and this shows up with that same 0.609 that we found a little bit ago. Or I can say .argmax. And that says like in what integer location does it show up? And I guess this is the 0, 1, 2. This is the 9th, I guess. And what we were really trying to find before was like the index value here. And so that's denoted by IDX max. So here's the same F sharp G flat that we found up above using more basic pandas methods.